Morning. The old man here, March 31st, 2025. Well, it's the last day of the quarter. It'll be interesting to see where gold and silver is by the end of the day. We broke 3,000 gold roughly 2 weeks ago, and it held. And as of this morning, we were at 3,021-ish when I woke up at 4:30 this morning. I think that that price is going to hold. I don't think they'll manage to tamp it. Well, they might manage to tamp it down to, say, near 3,000, but I don't think they're going to be able to get it below that. Basically binge watched a lot of videos this weekend to see what the sentiment and incoming information is the best I could. Word is a lot of high value investors are moving into the gold space and even the silver space. It's going to be interesting. I still think they have the opportunity to push the silver price down. As of this morning at 4:30, the gold to silver ratio was approximately 91-1. That's a pretty high ratio. And it's been hanging in there pretty tight. I know most silver investors, especially if you've invested prior, just around that 2021, 2020, somewhere in there, you're waiting for silver to move, and it really hasn't done a lot. Well, let me tell you, it's done pretty damn good. It's hanging right in there with gold as far as percentage of what it's moved up. I don't know what people expect silver to do. Whether I think most that are complaining about it bought silver as a lottery ticket, of which it is not. For the patient, I think you'll be extremely glad that you held silver. For those that got in as a lottery ticket, it won't be long, maybe $35 silver or so, and they'll be cashing out, and they never will see the real gains that are coming. Very conservative people have talked about triple digit silver, of which they haven't done in the past because they didn't want to look like a fool. But I think it's in the cards. When that's coming, hard to say. The one thing I will tell you for sure, I think Trump is basically bringing you out the truth. The truth is that inflation numbers are higher than they've been reported. We all know that. Just go to the grocery store and see how much money you give away to buy the same cart of goods you bought even 2 years ago. It's ridiculous. The thing we'll see in the future, things that you need will continue to go up, and things that you want will come down. However, most will not have the money to purchase, and therefore they will continue to go down. Prices of vehicles are astronomically high. They're not going to want to loan on $80,000, $90,000 vehicles, and most people aren't going to want to buy $80,000, $90,000 vehicles. When a good percentage of your neighbors have been laid off, and even though you haven't, you're going to pull in your spending, and you're going to think, oh man, I guess this vehicle I got, it's only a couple years old. I think I'll hold on to it. Or maybe it's 4 years old. I think I'll hang on to it and not buy a new vehicle just in case I'm the next on the layoff list. So I think you'll see. The price of high-end cars, of which they all are. They're all way overpriced. Price of cars come down, and the price of silver and gold continue to go up. The one thing for sure here, when the real numbers of unemployment start to come out, and as Doge lays off more people, they lay off more people through Doge. In other words, government employees that haven't been doing anything except for sucking money out of the system are turned loose. That's also, you got to remember those people that were employed and making $100,000 doing nothing. They were spending that $100,000, and there's going to be a lot of people downrange that aren't going to be receiving that $100,000 that they were making either. Whether it be the coffee shop guy, the restaurants, and the car dealerships, and whatever else you can imagine, clothes, and whatever those $100,000 a year jobs were providing. That trickle down theory of whoever was downrange of that is no longer going to be receiving any of that money either. So those people will also be laid off. There's reports out there that a good number of housing in D.C. has come up for sale. And when you get a lot of housing that's for sale all at once, well, what does that do? That brings the price down. And one of the surprising things I've seen over the weekend too is there's maybe not all of Florida, but a good percentage of Florida. There's openings, houses for sale, rent available, and that because a lot of these government employees that were working from home had moved to Florida, and now they're being recalled to come back to work, and then they're going to have to move again. And so in certain portions of Florida, that's really going to hurt the housing market and the rental market. So if you own a rental unit in Florida, and all these rentals are coming up for sale, that means you're just going to be having to lower your rent just to get people in there. And if you finance that place at high rent or high interest rates, and that model worked as long as you were getting high rent, now with lower rent, some of these guys are going to be losing those places back to the bank. Now, maybe not right away, but on the high interest or on the commercial housing or commercial units, that's going to roll over in the next 2 or 3 years, and they'll have to refinance, and you'll have to see if that model works. And in a lot of cases, I don't think it's going to. So, that's going to be tough times there as well. A lot of people, some of the people I listen to, talk about stacking and, to come up with more funds for stacking. They're cutting out a lot of the unnecessary things that we do. And my way of looking at it, and I've been in what I call depression mode for the last couple of years, get used to it, because that's what's coming. And in fact, since 2008, people are becoming poorer and poorer. But until the last couple of years, it was at such a slow rate that most people didn't realize it. They just thought, well, boy, things are getting tighter. And I really don't know why. Well, that's because your wages really haven't gone up. And inflation, where they claimed it was, 9% here a couple years ago, and it was really 20%, man, that just kicks your ass. So people are going to realize that more and more, especially when they're trying to pay their bills, and people all around them are getting laid off. And it's just escalating. It just continues to escalate. That's the thing. And there's going to be a lot of people getting laid off. And as far as the stock market goes, how many people are paying into their 401k as long as they're employed? But as soon as they get laid off, number one, they're not paying into their 401k. But in order to, even though they're laid off, they're going to try to keep up the same standard of living, or at least as close as they can, to make believe and even make themselves feel good. They're going to start borrowing against their IRA, or maybe even cashing out their IRA, whatever they can do. So what's that going to do to the stock market? Well, that's going to pull funding out of the stock market. Well, the reality of it is the big boys have been pulling out of the stock market, and the only thing holding it up was what they call the dumb money, or, your average investor that really doesn't know or realize what's going on. He just goes to work every day and keeps paying in every month, or every week, or every paycheck, whatever. He keeps adding to that stock market. And there's all the signs in the world that stock market has rolled over. Some will claim it's going to melt up. I think it's going to grind down. When they say melt up, what they really mean is that with high inflation, more people will chase the stock market for higher returns. Is the only way that you can make up for what you're not getting in wages. But the problem is it's already rolled over. That's the thing. No amount of buying now, I believe, anyways, my way of looking at it is no amount of buying now, especially from retail. Retail can barely move the needle when smart money moves out, and retail's the only thing that's holding it up, and then retail starts getting laid off. Once these real numbers get out, big firms are going to say, oh shit, I didn't realize the numbers were that bad, so we better start tightening up our belt. And they'll start cutting here and start cutting there, and they'll cut hours, and the next thing you know, they start cutting personnel. And the spiral just continues down. And with the whole world basically being in the same position, there ain't nobody to hold the thing up. Like 2008, China held it up. China held the world up, basically. They bailed us out. They bought a lot of T-bonds. Well, the world's de-dollarizing right now. They're not buying bonds. They're buying gold. They're letting their bonds roll over and or outright selling their bonds to prop up their currency. And nations across the world are doing that. Trump wants a weaker dollar. Well, okay, that's fine, so that we have better trades. I understand that. But what does a weaker dollar mean? Higher gold prices, higher silver prices. It's just going to continue to spiral down. That also breaks a lot of supply chains. If you got to remember that the world runs on credit, especially the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world. I'm sure it does, just as bad as we do. In order for the store owner to have goods in his store, he borrows money. And then he sells his product. He pays his bill 30 days later. And then he borrows some more, and he, on and on and on. He borrows, and then he pays, and he borrows, and he pays. If nothing else, the wholesaler is giving them credit for 30 days. It's borrowing. It's the same thing. In the case of cars, they're having plans that, where they're paying for those cars on time. They don't own all those cars on the lot. They're paying for a program. And they need to turn them cars over in 30 days. After 30 days, the car's starting to cost them money. They got to get rid of it. And so that's just going to spiral out of control as well. As they get more and more and more supply of cars. I heard somewhere recently, we've got something like a 90-day supply of cars. That's not good if you're if you're a car dealership. That means people ain't buying, and it's only going to get worse as these layoff numbers become, more and more truthful. And then that just spirals too. So, people are going to have to really tighten their belt. I don't think most people see it coming. I've said it before. I've seen it coming for 40 years and surprised it took this freaking long to get here and how many games they could play. But honestly, this time it's planned. They planned on it. The fiat system coming to an end. Most of Europe, I think, is going to get a CDBC. It'll look good at first, but then eventually, and then they'll play games to get those people to go over to CDBC. And if the economy's collapsing and they say, well, come on over to CDBCs and we'll make you whole or whatever, it's just a game. They'll suck most people in. And the same thing with the U.S. Now, I don't think Trump plans on going to a CDBC, but it is going to be it's going to be a digital system where I don't know is that there's going to be any cash left at the end of the day. It costs money to print cash when most people, especially young people, aren't using cash at all anymore. They wouldn't even know the difference if you eliminated cash. The only ones that would notice the difference are guys like me that I refuse to use anything but cash. I don't trust the banks. When I get money even from my business, I pull it out of the bank as fast as I can. Pay my bills, and then everything excess comes out. If I got to put a little bit back in to buy something or order something, I will. But I'm not leaving it in the banks, and that's where a lot of people are going to get in trouble. These banks are going to, as things get worse, these banks are going to start to fall off. You think March of, what was that, March of 23, where we had the big banks in California close? That's just the beginning, and from now on, they're not going to be able to choose to do a bail-in or a bailout. They're going to have to do a bail-in. Which means many people will lose whatever they got in deposit. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, it's insured. I got less than $200,000. It's insured. Sure it is. But it might take you 4 years to get paid. And what's that dollar going to be worth in 4 years from today? So if you got $1,000 in there and it only buys, 4 years from now, $250 worth of shit, by today's standards, what good is it? Thing is to get the damn money out of the bank today, buy something, either whether you buy gold and silver or not, buy something that's going to hold its value. My thoughts is there's not a hell of a lot out there. Everything depreciates at some rate. So other than gold and silver, I don't, we're going to have to go to some sort of a metal-based currency, even if it's just used as collateral and doesn't circulate, other than what you might call the black market. In that case, I think a lot of people are going to do whatever it is they have to do. And if they've got gold and silver, they're going to be buying what they need with gold and silver. And we'll see how it all works out. But anybody that's worried about the gold and silver market crashing, I think it's just the opposite. Some of these big banks, I can't remember which one, but they're calling, if the tailwinds go the right way or wrong way, depends on how you look at it, they're calling for $4,500 gold by the end of the year. And that's if everything goes sideways. Well, fuck, it's adding up to everything going sideways. Whether it happens by the end of this year or next year, it's hard to say. But somewhere down the road, not that far down the road, gold's going to be $4,500 an ounce. And at that point, the only people that can afford it is the big money people. They're just trying to save at that point. They're just trying to save whatever value they can of the gains they've made, and they don't really care what it costs. They're just trying to save from losing it anymore. So I can see just gold and silver continue to go higher. Gold's at the all-time high, and guys, big money people are buying it like it was nothing. They don't care about what the price is. They don't care because they know it's going to hold its value and or go up in value. So go up in price, actually, not go up in value, but actually go up in price. It'll hold its value. It'll still buy the same amount of goods 5 years from now as it does today. But the thing about it is the dollar price is going to go up, and that's because the dollar is going to go down fast. Especially when they start printing again. You know, they lower the interest rates down to zero, which is coming. How fast it gets there, it's hard to say. Depends on how bad things are. But, you know, it's not looking good for things holding up, especially with the stock market rolling over, and pretty much anybody following it would know that's coming. So now it's just a matter of time. So what am I doing? I'm just prepping more. You know, that's all you can do. Just hang in tight, head down, keep moving forward. Look at other options. If you think you might get laid off, you know, look at other options. See what else is out there. Even if you're taking a job that doesn't pay as well as you think it should, you're gonna have to do what you got to do. And keep moving forward, just to keep things, keep the ball rolling the best you can. Again, I think I see in the future multi-generational homes, people moving in with, let's say, grandma, because her house is paid for, mostly paid for, and then people not being able to afford their house, whatever it is, either can't afford the payments, can't afford the upkeep, can't afford the insurance, whatever, all the above, you know, or they can't afford the rent in some cases because they got laid off, you know, not because rent's going to go up. I don't think rent's going up. I think rent's coming down. But if you don't have a job, you can't even afford, no matter how low it is, you can't afford it. You can't afford rent. So you're going to wind up moving in with grandma, get whatever job you can just to help grandma pay the bills and have somewhere to live and have something to eat. You know, yeah, I know it sounds like doom and gloom, but you start prepare for it now, and don't wait for the collapse, the total collapse. At least you'll have a leg up. So that's where I'm at. I'm prepping. I'm buying as much gold and silver as I can. Main thing on that, I'm starting to see, even though retail hasn't piled in yet, I'm already starting to see premiums go up quite a bit from where they were not too long ago. If you looked around, you could find silver rounds for 50 cents over spot. And right now, I was just on one of the least expensive bullion sites, and the best price, it was a buffalo, silver buffalo. The best price silver buffalo was $2.50 over spot, $2.50 over spot. The one thing I did notice, though, they've had their junk silver for $25 over, 25 times face, or $25 per dollar. They've had that there for a long time, and you know, a month and a half ago, that's like, oh my God, is that expensive? But they've kept it there, and now with the price of silver coming up, they've actually come up to where I think 25 faces roughly 75 cents over spot. So actually on their site, that was the best priced silver on their website was junk silver, or pre-65 silver, whatever you want to call it, constitutional silver. So, you know, do your due diligence and find the best price silver you can. And as far as buying gold, oh my God, I can't believe it's 3,100 plus an ounce. But then when you take into consideration, most people aren't going to be able to afford an ounce. They'll be lucky to afford a tenth of an ounce. What is that? Oh my goodness, they're way over. They're like $30, $40 over spot, or over melt, I should say, on a 10th ounce gold coin. So wow, that's just astronomical compared to what it was not too long ago. 3 or 4 months ago, I was, well, let's say since the election, gold and silver took a pretty good little climb. Then it took about a 2 month dip, or at least a 6 week dip. And during that dip, so few people were buying gold. I was buying foreign gold coins at spot or melt. Depends whichever one applies, but not a problem buying it at melt. And the other thing to keep in mind, and I know most people haven't been paying attention, but I've been buying sterling silver, in other words, spoons and forks and that. Sterling silver at spot. I've been buying gold at spot. Gold, basically gold junk, gold necklaces and bracelets and whatever else at spot. I know I could have bought coins at spot as well, and I did some. But I'm developing a relationship with this coin dealer that when he gets, I said junk, but I should say scrap, he gets scrap 14 karat gold, and he shoots me a text and says, hey, I got this, do you want it? So I will continue now that premiums are getting quite stupid and we've just the beginning. As retail moves in, and starts to wake up, and I think they are starting to wake up. And as they wake up, premiums are going to go higher and higher, and it'll be more important. It's not bad enough the price of gold, but the premiums on top of it. And same thing with silver. The price of silver is going to go up, and so are the premiums. Premiums are going to go up as people wake up to the fact that they need gold and silver. And theoretically, I'll still be able to buy it at spot because I know no matter what spot is, he's paying 10% back a spot, and I'm paying spot. I'll take that all day long. The premiums is what kills you. If you're paying a 10 or 20, 15 or 20% premium, it might take you a year to break even, or even 6 months to break even. I'm breaking even walking out the door. So if it goes up the next day, I'm in the green. Where, for you, if you're paying 20% over spot on silver or gold, you're going to wait 6 months at least to break even. So think about that. Think about buying gold and silver as cheap over spot as you can. That'll allow you to stack more gold and or silver. Everybody poo-hoos the fact that either junk silver or junk gold, junk silver, scrap silver, sterling silver, scrap gold. They all poo-hoo it. The fact of the matter is, it's just as liquid. If I needed to raise money, it is nothing to go to anywhere, any coin shop, to go and liquidate that 14 karat gold. Now, it's going to take them a few minutes to make sure it's 14, it's real, whatever, but that's fine. That's all on him. It's his time. Not a big deal. And the thing is anything you spend on premium is what you're losing in stacking weight. It's all about the weight. The quality, the quantity, or the quality doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's 3 nines fine, 4 nines fine, whether it's a silver eagle or a gold buffalo or a gold eagle, whatever. It doesn't matter. Why pay $100 over spot on a gold eagle? It doesn't matter. That $100 that you paid over on premium, right now you could buy almost 3 silver ounces. And at the end of the day, if we're thinking silver's going to triple digits, that's $300. If it goes to $100 silver, 3 ounces, it might seem like today, oh, what the hell's 3 ounces? Well, if it goes to triple digit silver, $100 an ounce, that's $300 you just gave away. So keep that in mind. Stack as much silver as you can, stack as much gold as you can, and keep them premiums as low as you can. Of course, that's all with saying that all your other preps are in good shape. Make sure you got that food and what have you taken care of. Because if you don't have any preps at all and all you got is gold and silver, you'll spend all your gold and silver just buying food. Because like I said, will continue to go up. There's where you're going to see most of your inflation is in the things you have to have or the things you need, and you'll see deflation in the things you want. Whether you want a new car or you want this or you want that. Well, them prices like a quad runner. Well, nobody's going to be able to afford a quad runner, so any quad runner that's out there, the price is just going to keep going down till it's ridiculous till somebody finally pops and buys it. And those sitting on, extra cash, of which isn't the best place to be is cash, but maybe it's got its purpose short term. But those that have got gold and silver, you'd be surprised at what somebody will sell a quad runner for in the future. Or even if you need a tractor. Well, a tractor might go the other way just because more and more people are going to need those tractors. You got to remember, even big farms run on credit. And if there's no credit to be had, how are they going to run them big farms? All them big tractors, none of them's owned. They don't own none of that shit. It's all leased. And if they can't make those payments because they can't borrow money to buy seed and fuel and fertilizer, then how are they going to make the payments on their lease payments on their tractors? They're not. They're going to let them go back. Well, who in the hell is going to plant that ground? Somebody's going to have to plant that ground. And so a lot of people are going to be able to rent ground cheap. And if you've got a tractor and you've got some money for seed, and with money being gold and silver, mind you, not this fiat fake bullshit dollar. But if you got gold and silver, you'll be able to buy seed, fertilizer, diesel fuel, and you'll be able to plant that ground. You'll be able to lease that ground cheap, and you'll be able to sell whatever you produce at a pretty high rate. You might make 20-30% at least on that product. In fact, you might have to hire somebody to stand out there and guard the son of a bitch. It's going to be that tough, I think. So anyways, video's 32 minutes already. Getting close to time to go to work. I'm heading out. Have a great week, guys. Let's see where this gold and silver winds up today. And depending on where it winds up, I might just do another video tonight just talking about how fast I see the future moving. We'll catch you later. Thanks. Oh, by the way, like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Helps me with what you guys would like to know in the future. Thanks. Bye.